What if I told you that the most powerful weapon in the modern world is not the military, not nuclear technology, not artificial intelligence, but debt? A silent force that conquers without invading, that controls nations without occupying them, and that extracts wealth without ever firing a single shot. And here's the part almost nobody realizes. Global debt was never a consequence of economic weakness. It was engineered intentionally as a tool of power. But who designed this system? Who benefits from it? And how did debt evolve from simple borrowing into the backbone of a modern empire? Today, we uncover the origins, the rise, the breaking points, and the hidden mechanisms that transform debt into the ultimate instrument of control. To understand how we got here, we must go back. Not to the 20th century, but to the moment money stopped being real. Before World War I, currencies were backed by gold. If a government wanted to spend more, it had to own more gold. Its power had limits. But wars changed that. World War I was the first conflict where nations spent far more money than they possessed. They discovered a terrifying new trick. Print now, borrow later, recover. Maybe never. Central banks emerged as the quiet architects of this new reality. J.P. Morgan's influence in the U.S., the Bank of England's global reach, and later the creation of the Federal Reserve, all of them set the stage for a financial world where debt replaced gold. And where governments no longer needed to earn money, they could simply promise it. But that wasn't the twist. The twist came when the world realized something darker. Debt could shape geopolitics. Debt could shift global power. Debt could build an empire without borders. After World War II, the United States made its move. At Bretton Woods in 1944, the US dollar became the world's reserve currency. But this wasn't just symbolism. It meant that every country, every government, every trade deal relied on dollars. And the US controlled the dollars. Then came the crucial breaking point. 1971. Nixon removed the gold standard. With gold gone, money became unlimited, debt became infinite, and a new era began. From this moment on, global power no longer depended on resources, but on the ability to create and control debt. Countries borrowed to develop. Corporations borrowed to expand. Banks borrowed to lend even more. People borrowed just to survive. Debt became the bloodstream of the global economy. But here's the hidden truth. When everyone is in debt, the creditor becomes the empire. The IMF began issuing rescue loans that came with strings attached. Cut your spending, raise your taxes, restructure your economy, or lose access to global markets. Western governments borrowed trillions for wars, welfare, and political survival. Developing nations borrowed trillions with interest rates that guaranteed they could never escape. And for the first time in history, the world discovered a system where debt could control nations more efficiently than armies. In 2008, the global debt engine cracked. Banks collapsed. Markets froze. Governments panicked. But instead of fixing the system, they doubled down. The world responded by creating more debt than ever before. Central banks slashed interest rates to zero, then below zero, and printed trillions of new dollars, euros, yen, and yuan. By 2025, global debt crossed $315 trillion, more than 3 times the entire world economy. And here's the dark irony. The system was saved by doing the exact thing that broke it. Every solution only made the empire stronger. Countries printed money, gives inflation surged. Inflation surged, gives citizens lost purchasing power. Citizens struggled, gives they borrowed more. Governments panicked, gives they borrowed more. Debt became the cure for the disease that debt itself created. A self-reinforcing loop, global trap. The modern empire didn't expand by conquering land. It expanded by expanding debt. Today's patterns mirror the past. Ancient Rome debased its currency, gives collapse 1700s France. Drowned in debt, gives revolution post-WI. Germany printed money, gives hyperinflation 2008 and 2020 crises, gives money printing on a historic scale, and now nations owe more than they can ever repay. Yet they continue borrowing because the system demands it. Debt is no longer a tool. It is the operating system of the modern world. Debt is not an accident. It is a deliberate design. The modern empire is built on credit, not armies. Every crisis strengthens the system instead of weakening it. But here's the warning. Every empire collapses when its currency loses trust. And trust is fading fast. If you want to understand the future, you must first understand the system that controls the present. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit subscribe, drop a comment, share this with someone who still believes debt is just economics. This story is only beginning, and you'll want to be here for the next chapter.